Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 16th episode of the Man to Man podcast. Tom, how you doing, buddy? Tom had a big weekend this weekend. I'm sure he'll fill you in. He finally turned 21, so he drank for the first time in his life.
Right.
So how was your 25th?
It was a lot of fun. Me, my mom, and my cousin went down to Atlantic City. We had a blast. Lost a bunch of money at the tables as usual. But thank God I had my sports betting to back me up on, because that is the only way that I have not lost a crap ton of money on the weekend.
I got every single bet wrong Sunday, so
Really?
I'm starting off today good though. I'm starting off today good. I had the Oregon money line. So
lucky you, dude. I had my first loss of the weekend. Like the first loss in the past 3 days.
I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. So obviously we have a lot to get into today. Pretty much full March Madness, but we'll touch on some other things. I mean, obviously the big losses. I mean, the Big Ten kind of sucks.
Yeah, there goes all the hype that we were hyping it up. I mean, my goodness, we were saying that they were easily the best division in basketball. We were talking about how other teams in the Big Ten should be playing better than they were because how good they were. And then we watch Illinois, Ohio State. There was another big one. Purdue got knocked out early too. I mean, my goodness, what a bad showing from the Big Ten, man. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, all the I'm not shocked Ohio State lost. It's become very apparent to me that teams like Virginia and Ohio State that run like just a regular paced game are far more able to be upset than other teams. While playing those close games does help you down the stretch if you have close games, but I mean, yeah, the way Ohio State plays and the way Virginia plays, it doesn't if you just watch it, it shouldn't surprise you that Virginia gets upset or got upset by a 16 seed or was the first ever to lose to a 16 because they play so methodically and slow. And I get it. And Virginia obviously won the national championship the last time we had it, but it's very, very apparent to me that it's much easier to upset someone when you're scoring 55 points in a game. So, I mean, that's the difference between like Gonzaga and the good guy and the better guy. I mean, they beat teams by 100. So,
right.
But we'll get into all that and everything like that. So let's get into today in sports history. In 1907, the 69th Grand National, Alf Newey wins aboard 8-1 chance Aramon. I didn't know Alf was a real name. I thought Alf was that alien show in like the 60s. Right, it's weird. In 1929, there was the 88th Grand National. Robert W.H. Everett wins aboard 100-1 outsider Gregalock. I mean, that's too bad you didn't bet on Gregalock in 1929, Tommy.
It's too bad, man. I would have been doing great.
In 1952, Wales wins 5 Nations Rugby Championship, Grand Slam, and Triple Crown with a 9-5 win over France at St. Helens Ground in Swansea, England. And in 1958, the 20th NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, Kentucky beats Seattle 84-72. Seattle's future Hall of Famer small forward Elgin Baylor is named the tournament most outstanding player. Speaking of Elgin Baylor, I'm almost 100% sure he just died.
Really?
I was just on ESPN before I got into this, and Lakers star Clipper executive Baylor is dead at 80 or at 60. Elgin Baylor dies at 86. Wow, that's yeah, I knew I saw something about that. That's too bad.
That is too bad.
Yeah, that goes back to Kentucky and their Adolph Rupp years. So that's pretty interesting. And we will get into some news as well. I would also like to say this podcast is brought to you by my dude. This podcast is brought to you by my dude Matt. What a guy! He's a musician friend out of Cincy. Check him out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Mattwhatagui. He's got shows all over Cincinnati and Cleveland, and he also learned how to play the bagpipes in like a week and can play the bagpipes now. So, like I said, he's really talented. So if you see him out there or see his name somewhere, definitely check it out. It's free shows. It's good music. It's good fun. So let's get into the news. And before we start, obviously, we have to tread carefully on the subject, obviously. But Desean Watson has come up on, I believe it's now 10 cases of sexual assault against women. A lawyer brought it up to him, and also he apparently he assaulted a woman this March. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I remember I was trying to defend Desean Watson last time on the last show, but I mean, now that we got more and more cases coming out, it's not really anything that we can ignore anymore. Because before it was sexual misconduct, they weren't sure exactly how to classify it, but if it's truly 10 cases of sexual assault, I have nothing else to say about it. I mean,
I understand when when one person throws an allegation against you and it's kind of just to drag your name. And I do feel like this is too big of a coincidence right now that Desean Watson is trying to get traded and all these are coming up. Maybe that's why they're coming up. I would not be surprised if the Texans were actually behind this. But yeah, it makes Desean Watson look terrible. And like I said, I can understand maybe 1-2 people throwing fake allegations at you. But now that they have 10.
It's impossible to ignore it now. And it's just very hard to defend him with 10 cases.
Yeah. I mean, if he really has 10 cases of sexual assault against him and they come to court, I mean, he'll be out of the NFL for the rest of his life.
I mean, he'll be out of society for the rest of his life if they all come to court. Speaking
of society and courts, the Boston Marathon bomber can still face the death penalty. The Supreme Court said Monday it will consider reinstating the death sentence for Boston Marathon bomber. I'm not even going to try to say his name. Presenting Joe Biden with an early test of his opposition of capital punishment. We don't do politics much, but are you pro or against the death penalty?
I don't like to throw it around a lot, but in the case of the Boston Marathon, I don't know. I don't know if I can support taking a life, but this guy took several lives.
Yeah,
a lot more than several.
There's a couple things at play here for me. Basically, one, I don't necessarily support the death penalty. Do I think this guy deserves to die? Yeah. So if they reinstated the death penalty, it wouldn't affect me. But I honestly don't think. I think death is a better way to go out than living the rest of your life in solitary confinement. Like that has to be absolute hell. Like, I can't imagine. I mean, the kid, obviously it's horrible. The Sarnett, whatever his name is. I think he was like just over 20, 25-ish when he got caught. So, I mean, yeah, it's sitting in prison for the next 30, 35, 40 years with no possibility of parole. There's nothing worse than it. So I just let him rot in jail. That's what I do. So
yeah, I mean, I would probably lean towards that as well. Like I said, it's very difficult for me to say like, yes, 100% do it definitively. But if there is the option of putting him in solitary, like you can, but
he'll be in solitary. If he doesn't get the death penalty, he'll be in solitary for the rest of his life until maybe the last 5 years of his life when they'll move him out because he's too sick to be in solitary. But yeah, a funny story about that is actually when the Boston bombing happened at the marathon, I think I was in the Army for about 3 years. I had just signed up. I had just flown. I was just getting off my flight to Missouri because my basic training was in Missouri. And they were going to take us by bus to the camp. So I was just getting off my flight, and all this was going on, and nobody had any idea. And obviously, when you go to base training, you have no phone, you have no news, you know, anything. So we didn't hear anything about it but whatever it was, I think it was like the 4th day after it happened, or 5th day when they caught him. Our drill sergeants, they all talked to us and everything. It was a good moment. But it's just funny that I was just everywhere at that time. But
right.
We'll move on. LeBron has a high ankle sprain. He's supposed to be out for a couple weeks. And the Nets are now title favorites in Vegas. I don't really understand that at all. I guess maybe with LeBron being out a couple weeks, they can grab home court.
So I think LeBron's going to lose home court is more what it is, because not only is LeBron James out for a couple weeks, but Anthony Davis has been out for a while, I think, and he's not looking like he'll come back anytime soon. So that's leaving a very depleted Lakers roster from what I have read.
Yeah, the Lakers won their thing. It sucks. I still like LeBron. I still love LeBron. He did a great thing for our city. But at some point, injuries were going to catch up to him. Injuries happen to every athlete, and he has never had injury, like famously never had injuries. So it does not surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me, even when they made the deal for Anthony Davis. I knew it was good for the short term, but long term, he's going to have to be your centerpiece in the next 1 to 2 years. And Zion will probably be better than him by that point. And it's weird, but I would love to see after next year, when his contract ends, LeBron comes back to Cleveland, plays out his career here, and gets the Cavs to draft Bronny, or somebody drafts Bronny, gets to play against his kid. That's awesome. That would be super cool. I can pretty much guarantee his kid's going to get drafted. I don't know who in their mind would not take LeBron's kid. So yeah, I would love to have him come back, but injuries were bound to catch up with him. I mean, he's been a physical specimen for 20 years. So
yeah, I mean, he, like you said, he's famously not had any injuries, or any meaningful injuries.
I mean, I know he hurt his groin like a year ago around Christmas time. I don't know, or maybe that was his first year in LA. I can't remember. More NFL news. The 2021 NFL Draft will be in Cleveland. They held a press conference at 11:30 to release more of the details. Basically, it's going to take place on the lakefront, kind of by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I said it in my post, and I'll say it now. It's very ironic that there will be a Super Bowl ring display and the Lombardi Trophy on display to take pictures with, when Cleveland is one of 13 teams that has never won a Lombardi Trophy. So, but yeah, other than that, I guess people who are going to the event must have been vaccinated. And really the only available tickets are like the team. They're called the Inner Circle. The team selects a group of fans that get to go and cheer them on when they pick. I can almost guarantee it's going to be millionaires probably that just want to go to the draft. So, yeah, and they'll do it all downtown, and it'll be on the lakefront. It should be a pretty cool weekend. I might go down the first night. I don't know. I will probably definitely go down either Saturday or Sunday just to check it out. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But at least they're having a draft this year. And Roger Goodell will be in attendance. Will get booed for the first pick, every pick probably.
Good.
And,
Good.
Yeah, everything's back to the way it was. So I mean,
relatively, that's all we could ask for.
More NBA. This is the most we've talked about the NBA in forever. Maybe I'm obsessed with NBA 2K now. I don't know. LaMelo Ball has broken his wrist. I would say that I don't know who's going to win Rookie of the Year this year, because I don't know any of the other rookies.
Yeah, I mean, with him breaking his wrist, honestly, I think he could still win Rookie of the Year if all of a sudden the Hornets take like a huge plunder.
I mean, they're not very good anyways. But yeah, I know. I think that yeah, he's good. He's way better than Lonzo. But it sucks you injure your wrist. Like I said, I can't. Who was the number 2 pick? Wiseman was the number 2 pick. Edwards
Yeah,
was.
no, he sucks. Well, Edwards would probably win it if his rookie of the year chances are gone. Edwards would win it.
Yeah, I haven't looked. I think he's averaging like 17 or something. I don't know. I didn't like him coming out of Georgia, but whatever.
Yeah, what is he averaging?
But yeah, out of Georgia, he just looked like a really long, athletic dude that could play a little bit of defense, but I don't know. Not really a shooter. I don't know. And then finally, Bob Kraft commenting on the Patriots spending. We're in the business to win, he said. So, I mean, it's hard for me to see in the future the Patriots not being good, and it's hard for me to also see that this mosh of just random free agents is just going to get together and work under a quarterback who speaks a different language, basically, Cam Newton. So, it's very odd. I don't know what's going to happen, but you know what? I'm in for it. The Browns are finally good, so if we get the chance to beat up on Bill Belichick in the playoffs, I'll take it.
I'm ready for some football talk again, but I can't be talking football when we got March Madness on right now.
Well, nope. I put aside 5 minutes for you to talk about free agency. You have 5 minutes. Tell us all you know.
Oh, right now? I thought it was coming later. Okay.
I think might as well do it now before we get into March Madness.
Let's see. The last time we spoke was the 17th. So on the 18th, the Bears released Kyle Fuller, which was pretty big. They needed to make room to clear out space for Allen Robinson. Did anyone else really big land on there? The Jets signed Keelan Cole. That was a very mediocre pickup. They also picked.
I think you're forgetting your favorite one.
I'm going through. LaMarcus Joyner came through, and Dan Feeney, Mullet Man himself, got picked up by the Jets. I'm going through. Kenyon Drake signed with the Raiders for some reason for a 2-year deal up to $14.5 million to be somebody's backup. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about last time.
Desmond King signed with the Texans, which, my goodness, what happened to him? There's so many here. So then on the 19th, there wasn't really anyone too big other than the Eagles landing Anthony Harris for a 1-year deal on $5 million. The Jets signed Tyler Croft to a 1-year deal because they needed a receiving tight end.
Is Ertz still there, or is he a free agent?
He's still there. Technically, they're looking for a trade. I
mean, I would say I'd take him in Cleveland, but we have 3 tight ends that are good.
Yeah, you guys need to trade one too. The Seahawks re-signed Chris Carson. Not really a big move there. Chris Carson sucks. Steelers re-signed Juju.
He doesn't suck. All
right.
I
hate Chris Carson. Chris Carson's on my hate list.
Okay.
The Steelers re-signed Juju Smith-Schuster to a very weird deal, very similar to the.
I was so surprised that he went back to the Steelers. It just doesn't make sense. I agree. No one else was really calling, but it just doesn't make sense for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Like every 3 or 4 years, they move on from wide receivers and they just draft guys, and they did exactly that with Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool.
And James Washington, you can't forget him. He's still relatively decent.
Yeah, I guess they're just trying to keep all the pieces together for one more season under Ben. That's the only thing I can think of, because it makes absolutely no sense not to add like either line help or defensive help,
especially line help.
Yeah, rather than receiver. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But Juju's deal is very interesting because it's a $900,000 cap hit, I think. And then there's a signing bonus, a incentive bonus, and like a snap count marker or something that makes up the rest of his $8 million. And then he has 4 voidable years added onto his contract, very much like Taysom Hill's contract, which, like I said, really weird situation. It's under it on the score where I'm pulling up all of these. It says it's a 1 year, $8 million deal, but there's 4 voidable years on it. So I guess it's a 5-year
So it's
deal.
a 5-year. Yeah, it's a 5-year deal. Yeah.
They didn't even comment on how much money the rest of it was because they're saying that they're just going to void the contract after this season. The other big one, what was that?
It still just doesn't make sense. I mean, why put $10 million into Smith-Schuster? I mean, put it in a running back.
Yeah, they still haven't re-signed James Conner.
They should have put that. They should have put it in Kenyon Drake's hands.
100%.
All right, yeah, go on.
Phil, no, you're totally fine. The Texans
I'll just swoop in with my comments when I have them.
I like it. The Texans signed Phillip Lindsay to a 1-year deal, which makes their backfield David Johnson, Mark Ingram, and Phillip Lindsay. Which are you trying to just have a clusterfuck over?
I mean, they're all the same, basically. I don't know. I think the Texans are about to become a destination for like young players that aren't like stars yet, but have almost surpassed the point where they can become stars.
Yep.
So they'll just be like well above average like players for the Texans, and they'll probably go 8-8 for like the next 5 years.
Or it'll be where good players go to die and ride out their careers for the money, like Mark Ingram. So basically, what you're telling me is the Texans are the new Jets.
The Texans are the new Jets, or the Texans are the new like Rockets / Nets / Lakers / Clippers / like so. Yeah, no, and then I guess the Lakers, if you wanted to compare it to NBA, the Lakers would be the Bucks right now.
Right.
I don't know.
All right.
It's interesting.
Very interesting. So then we get into a bigger news day for us here, where the Broncos picked up Kyle Fuller on a 1-year, $9.5 million deal. That makes their secondary absolutely insane because they also signed Justin Simmons to a 4-year, $61 million contract, which makes him the highest paid safety in the league.
Who's that? The Broncos?
Broncos.
Who they signed before him? I didn't hear you said.
Well, after signing Justin Simmons to the 4-year, $61 million, they added Kyle Fuller from the Bears after they cut him.
Yeah. The only issue with Fuller is he's getting older. He's almost like Sherman. He's probably still better than Sherman a little bit,
and he's younger. I think
he is younger. I think he'll be 30 next year. He's past his days of his prime man-to-man coverage days, so you'll have to play a lot of zone with him. But yeah, I wanted the Browns to look at him.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to be a good sign wherever he landed, so long as it's with a decent team. And I think the Broncos was a good landing spot, especially if with that 9 pick they draft Surtain or Fairley. That'll be a really nice trio in the secondary.
I'm telling you, man, J.C. Horn can sneak up on all of you. He might be the first corner to go.
He could be, and I could be completely wrong. I've been putting down Surtain, and I like him, but I agree. Horn is going to definitely outplay where he's drafted.
I think Farley's the best. I think Farley has the best body for it. But
I have Farley going before the Broncos have him. That's why I've been saying Surtain.
Okay.
So, just to finish up here, the Cowboys signed Keanu Neal to a 1-year deal. Not really a big move, but everything. After trading for Isaiah Wilson. What?
Yes, we talked about Isaiah Wilson. That's not a bad move by the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't mind it, and I think they're bringing in 2 other safeties to potentially sign to pair them up. So there's that.
I mean, you if you're the Cowboys, you have to look at this as, I mean, your window's literally now for the next 2 years because you can only pretty much hopefully guarantee Prescott's health through until he's 30. So 2 more years, really.
Right. So after trading for Isaiah Wilson, the Dolphins have cut the former tackle because. Oh, we did? Okay. The biggest signing of the weekend, the Giants signed wide receiver Kenny Golladay to a 4-year, $72 million deal. he's in a good spot, I think, and I think that it's going to be very beneficial for the Giants, but more specifically beneficial for Saquon Barkley.
I don't know. It's so weird going into this draft for me, like looking on the outside, like I don't need a quarterback, but like if I was in anyone in the top 10, I would probably take a quarterback.
Just to like have one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like what if Daniel Jones come out and sucks, like
again,
and then you finally get a rookie. If you say you get a top 5 pick next year or a top 7, you get it like maybe the second best quarterback. You still need at least a year to break him in. So by that time, Galladay is gonna be almost 30. So I mean, it's it's weird.
Very weird. Outside of that, there haven't been too many signings since what is that? Saturday. The biggest one is more just for the name. The Rams signed Desean Jackson to a 1-year deal. Other than that, there's not really anyone worth mentioning.
Other than John Johnson, the Browns signed. I think I said this. They already signed Takaris McKinley, Troy Hill. I think his name is it
Troy Hill? Yep.
Corner, and they also added Anthony Walker over the weekend, the linebacker. I like the Walker signing. He's going to play like a role like Joe Schobert played early on, but he's terrible in coverage. And he had a worse coverage grade than who I thought was the worst player in the NFL. I thought Andrew Sendejo, our safety, was literally the worst player in the NFL. His coverage grade was lower than his. I mean, granted, he's a linebacker, so it's expected to be. But Andrew Sendejo, I'm not going to start because I'm going to get so mad. When Randy brought up Chris Conte last night, I was like, I'm not listening to fucking Chris Conte. I'm not listening to Chris Conte. I mean, it's a good idea, and I understand why he's doing it. But the only thing I think about Chris Conte is just him getting missing tackles like so horribly, like literally diving this way when the guy's going the other way. When he said that, I just flashbacks of just absolute ankles and knees and cartilage tears from him. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's my little wrap up of what happened over the weekend. I tried to just kind of talk about the big names. Obviously, there was a ton more signings because there are 32 teams and a shit ton of players, but that's all the big names that I got for you.
Yeah, I think I had the Galladay deal. That's about it. All right, so now we get into the real beef of the podcast. For the next 30 minutes, we will be talking March Madness. We'll go over day 1. We'll go over day 1, then day 2, go over the scores from yesterday, and then we will preview today's games. Okay, so in the first round,
my bets. I won 8. For those that don't know,
you know what? It doesn't even count for you because they're free. So you risk nothing. You won nothing. I don't want to hear about it.
I won $800 in 2 days of free bets.
So on day 1, the big news was obviously Oral Roberts to Ohio State. Kevin Obanor for OSU, or not OSU, Oral Roberts had 30 points and 11 rebounds. He also had 28 points when they beat Florida yesterday. I think Oral Roberts might be for real.
I would love to see it happen, but I don't know. I think they have Loyola Chicago next on Saturday. And that's going to be.
I think it's Arkansas.
Is it Arkansas?
Who is it?
Oh, no, you know what? You're right because I was thinking Syracuse. Syracuse has.
Chicago. So weirdly enough, what Eric Musselman did at Arkansas this year was when they were scheduling non-conference opponents, he scouted ahead kind of. And basically for the non-conference opponents, instead of playing really, really bad low conference teams, he played really bad conferences that are still Division I, but against teams that were going to win the conference. So they've already beaten Oral Roberts this year by 13.
Really?
Yes. So, so yeah, I like Arkansas a lot. I think Arkansas, they're just too athletic. Well, that's the biggest thing that separates Arkansas for me from like Illinois and Virginia and stuff like that. They're just like no one's going to be able to out athletic them. They're so athletic. So it's just tough to see them losing to anyone but a 1 seed to me at this point. Or I guess a 2 seed. I don't know if the 2 seeds. No, that's not there because it would have been Ohio State. So yeah, I think they could take it to Baylor too. But yeah. Other than that, on day one there wasn't much. The Virginia Tech Florida game was really awesome. I don't know if you remember that.
That was so much fun to watch. That was such a good game to watch.
That was that was back and forth. It's just awesome. UNC, I mean, they fucking suck. I don't know. I mean, I honestly bet on them, and I bet on them to win. And I bet the over because I was like, if UNC is going to win this game, it has to be high scoring. And I think the over still hit, but they lost. It was
damn
watching. Like, I hate Wisconsin basketball so much, and I should love Wisconsin basketball. I hate them. I cannot watch a Wisconsin basketball game.
Why should you love them?
They're all a bunch of white dudes that just shoot and are good.
I love that for you.
I mean, like, it's just. I mean, who's the best player ever come out of Wisconsin? Frank Kaminsky, probably.
Sam Den-Decker. The only thing I remember, I think he's out of the NBA too. But the only thing I remember about Sam Den-Decker was he got a steal, but the ball was like in front of him, so he's trying to like go down and get it while he's like trying to dribble, and he just falls over the ball and kicks it out of bounds and lands on his hands and knees.
So yeah, Wisconsin. I'm happy they lost to Baylor. We'll get into that. Baylor also is one of the teams that, and as many upsets as there were on day one, we had day two in a sec, and as many upsets they were on day one and day two, the more I just think Gonzaga's going to win the national championship.
I know it's
like by 50. Like I can't remember like the last like beat down national championship. I know UNC beat the shit out of Michigan State in 2008, but other than that, I mean, Gonzaga's got two guys that could go in the top 5.
They might have more. Just if they win the Natty, they might have more.
Not in the top 5.
Top
no
10.
There. Suggs, no. It's Suggs and Kispert are the only ones that are going to go top 10. I think. I mean, they're. I can't think of their big guy's name, but I mean, he just moving on from Gonzaga actually. So we'll go to day 2. Speaking of that, I wanted to bring up. I don't think that Luka Garza is going to get drafted.
I don't know. He had a good performance today. I don't know if you watched the game at all. I
agree. He had 36 points, and it's not his fault. Like, if you put up 36 points and your team loses a college basketball game, that's your team's fault. I get that. But
it wasn't only a loss, but like they got clapped. They got beat 95-80.
Yeah, I mean they got killed. Who they play?
Oregon,
yeah. And Oregon had like 75 dunks. All they did was dunk the whole game. So, yeah, but what was I talking
about? Luka Garza not getting drafted.
Oh, yeah, Luka Garza. Like, watching him play, like he's just gonna get eaten alive in the NBA by just people that are more athletic than him.
I agree to a certain extent, but I actually hadn't watched an Iowa basketball game until today. He's developed a shot from like where I saw him, because a lot of his highlights come from under the rim or somewhere in the mid range where he's doing
nearly all of them.
Yeah, but he developed a mid range. It seems, because I was watching him. I watched him hit 3 or 4 of them, and 2 of them were with a guy right in his face. So like, if he could develop a 3 a little bit more and become a little more complete, and not just rely on his size. I think he could be better, but that's still a very long way from being a lottery pick, first round pick, even drafted. You know what I mean?
I mean, he was smart in coming back. He'll win the Wooden Award this year. Even if he develops a 3, though, I just I don't think he'll be able to stay with the pace of the NBA game. I just don't. I mean, he has a 3, but other than that, all he does is out muscle smaller opponents under the rim, and I like him. But I won't say he's not going to get drafted. I don't think he should get drafted. I think someone will be smart to pick him up as an undrafted free agent. But someone will take him just because he won the Wooden Award. I mean, someone will take him. I mean, if he's still there at pick 32, I can't imagine you're like the Lakers, like, oh, we have this guy from France. It's better than so. It's just he will get drafted, but
he'll get drafted. I think the real question is going to be, is he going to get drafted in the first round? No, that's the real question. 30 picks. Are there 30 guys better than him after winning the Wooden Award?
Yes,
I think so too.
There are 50 people in the world right now that I would rather draft than Luka Garza. Like I said, I could easily see a team. I don't know, the Spurs. Like the Spurs would be he would be perfect for them as a second round pick.
I was just
if they were still good, he would have been perfect at the end of the first round. So yeah, we'll see, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then I thought the biggest upset was Abilene Christian so we're in day 2, was Abilene Christian over Texas. I had Texas in the Final Four. The way they were playing in the Big 12 tournament, I mean, their big guy Cam Sims he developed from the beginning of the year to the end of the year into a fully rounded post player.
Yep.
And their 2 guards are like ferocious and fast and crazy. And I honestly, before the tournament even started, I put 2 bets in for 2 Final Four teams, futures. I put Texas in. I put Texas in Houston. So no, I think I put Texas in Arkansas maybe. But when Texas lost, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, they look terrible. I mean, like there's a difference from losing a close game because a mid-major team is just underrated or overlooked. And then there's getting your butt handed to you on the court for 40 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever it was. I mean, that was just horrible outing from Texas. And Shaka Smart's the coach from that, right?
Yeah.
Shaka Smart should be like reevaluated, I think, a little bit, because that was such a poor performance.
I don't think so. I think if anything, he'll be real evaluated and they'll think higher of him. I mean, he won the Big 12. They won the Big 12 championship, right?
I think they made it to the final and lost to Baylor. No,
I don't think Baylor made the final. I think Baylor lost to Oklahoma State. I think they beat Oklahoma State.
Let's see. Yeah, Texas did win.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken him a while to get started under there, but it finally seems like he's getting his guys. And obviously, this year's team had a lot of upperclassmen, and they'll probably lose, I would say, 2 out of 5 starters. But I would say it's a big improvement for him at Texas this year. And it's funny, he's from Wisconsin, and Wisconsin fans, all they want is for him to go back and coach Wisconsin, and he's never going to do it. It's great. But yeah, I was shocked with Texas winning. I was almost like shocked and mad. I was just like, this is sick.
This is sick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. I understand where you're coming from, and I'm sure he will be back because of everything that you said. But like, this is Abilene Christian, and I
also just think about this. He's relatively young. I'm pretty sure he's under like 35 or under 40 at least. What other young coaches are out there that are good? Okay, you got Chris Beard at Texas Tech, who, if Indiana is smart and at all, they wouldn't have let him get on the plane last night after he lost to Arkansas, and they would have kept him at Indiana.
100% agree.
But and also Indiana folks, Brad, what's his name? Brad Stevens isn't going back to Indiana. I don't think. I think they'll. I think Indiana will. I think Indiana will offer him the richest contract in the history of college basketball, and I think he'll seriously think about it. But I think he'll say no. There's just no point. And speaking of new coaches, I was actually looking at some of the new coaches. I mean, we talked about it in football, and we'll get back to March Madness in a second. But it's almost the passing of the guard for these older coaches, just like it's the passing of the guard for the quarterbacks in the NFL. Like,
yep.
I had to look up, like, after UNC lost, I was like, I mean, Roy's got to retire. I mean, he has what's it called? The thing in your head, like verbatim. It's not verbatim or whatever. He has
Deja vu.
Hold on, give me a sec.
Yeah.
Vertigo.
Oh, vertigo. Okay.
Yeah, so you've seen him on the sidelines, and he like gets down, like, and he basically has to leave games coming. So I was like, he's gonna have to retire soon. You got to think Coach K has to be coming to an end at some point. I mean, I'm not going to rip on Coach K and Duke today because I've done that the past 2 weeks. But it was embarrassing for Duke how that season ended. That was the worst end to a season I've seen since Kentucky when they had Nerlens Noel and they didn't make the tournament and lost in the first round of the NIT to Robert Morris. So, but. Yeah, so other day two, obviously the big upset, OU over Virginia.
I just wanted to clarify when I was saying it was an ass kicking by I don't even know whoever Texas lost to. I'm not going to get flamed for pronouncing a school's name wrong again this week.
Abilene Christian.
Abilene Christian, great. I understand it was a 1-point game and the kid hit clutch free throws with a second left, but that second half, Texas did not look good whatsoever. So I just wanted to clarify that. I wasn't saying the scoreboard was like that, but you can feel the shift at halftime was really what I was going for.
We'll have to do this over the summer maybe. But I could probably put together, if you gave me like a pool of mid-major teams, like just certain teams. I mean, it seems like there's a direct blueprint about how to upset someone in the NCAA tournament. I mean, the Texas Abilene Christian was what the score 53-52. Once again, you have to play slow to upset a team.
Yep.
UMBC did it. The only team I can remember that didn't really do it was Florida Gulf Coast, and that's just because they dunked every time. So,
yeah, they got the breakaways.
Yeah. So OU over Virginia, that was big. Jason Preston is a man amongst boys, 11 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists. So basically the story of Jason Preston is, like, how good are you at basketball right now?
How good am I? What do you mean?
How good are you at basketball?
Not very good whatsoever. I can't.
When Jason Preston was in high school, you were probably better than him when you were in high school.
Really?
He was the bench. His senior year, he was a bench warmer. Didn't see any minutes until senior night, and then he was. I don't know how he got down there, but he ended up going down to Florida and was playing in like some league or like some summer competition, like I don't know. Who am I talking about? Why do I keep forgetting who I'm talking about?
Jason Preston.
Oh, Jason Preston. Yeah. And the OU coach eventually ended up recruiting him. But, yeah, he was an absolute bench warmer in high school. So, I mean, I've never heard of that. But then again, it is a little bit easier to play basketball when you're not 5'7" like me and you're 6'4" like him. Really 6'7" with the afro. So
right.
That's why. I mean, I don't know if you remember old North Carolina point guard Kobe White. I mean,
I love Kobe White.
He's my favorite point guard. No, Marcus Page is my favorite point guard for but I always love North Carolina point guards. But yeah, I mean, Kobe White is actually 6'5", but as a point guard with his afro, he looks like he's 6'7" as a point guard. It's great. I love it. But yeah, like I said, there's a clear blueprint to me on how to upset someone in the tournament. And we'll get back to OU in the next section because they play today.
Yep.
But like I said, it wasn't very. And I will say Virginia. I just don't think they were very good this year.
I agree. They weren't good. You could tell. I watched that entire game because because of what we had talked about on here. I put money down on it. Put my money where my mouth was, and like I was watching the whole game, and I'm like, Virginia's either not good or OU is a lot more underrated, and I doubt that's what it is. So I think
OU's underrated.
100%, just not as much as we were hyping it up.
Oh yeah, I mean Virginia. I mean they're watching a Virginia team at the end of that game, like struggle to get shots up and things like that was so not anything I remember about good Virginia teams. They had I can't think of it. DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Guy.
Yeah, that's the guy.
I always had guys. I mean, Kyle Guy is probably not that great at basketball, but he was a good shooter. Yep. So I mean, but yeah, the way they lost and like when they were trying to get the ball inbounds and like second at the end of the game, it was not anything I've seen from a Tony Bennett team in a while. So I was very surprised by that. I wasn't surprised by the game, but I was surprised by how bad Virginia looked. In the Big East, Creighton survived. I didn't know they had. I had this. I didn't know they had an issue with McDermott, the coach. He called someone the P word, something racial. I think I don't know. I don't know what the P word is. Maybe it wasn't that, but apparently, so he was like the whole team hates him now. So they're bound to go down. Well, they play. We'll get into it. They play OU, and then just the biggest fraud.
Don't bring up their name.
The biggest fraud in the history of the NCAA tournament was the Georgetown Hoyas. Colorado. I was a little bit impressed with Colorado, but they weren't that good. I wanted it back to be the good Georgetown days, like Patrick Ewing on the sidelines, like the big. They still didn't. I mean, they just didn't look the part. They clearly didn't play the part.
I don't want to hear their name. I just want to move on. I never am betting on Georgetown ever again. I'm never rooting for Georgetown ever again because what I watched and the product that I watched out on the court was a disgrace. If you put out Louisville, if you put out St. Louis, I guarantee you that would not have been the product versus Colorado. I guarantee it. That was one of the most atrocious basketball games I've ever sat down and watched. And all of this after Patrick Ewing's hyping himself up saying, is my jersey in the rafters or what? Where's your jersey now?
Yeah, it was
got shellacked.
Yeah, the Big East didn't. I guess I haven't looked at the other Big East teams, but I know UConn lost as well. So
UConn lost a close game, 9 points to Maryland. And then
did you hear what the Maryland coach Mark Turgeon told Juwan Howard in the Big Ten tournament?
No,
he said after they lost. Not Michigan lost, but
Maryland.
They lost. Maryland lost. He said, and he went over to Juwan Howard and said, "Don't bother putting the banner up. All you do is take them down, anyways." So he denied it, but I think he should have just been like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I said," because that's a burn.
It's got some stones there, if that's true.
I'm not gonna lie. If I was coaching against Juwan Howard, I would have like a secret spy that was sitting behind their bench that just would be like reminding him, like, call a timeout, Chris Webber versus North Carolina, call a timeout. You have 6 timeouts left. Yeah.
I'm just going back through the bracket because I was looking for the Big East teams. Obviously, we talked about Creighton, and
Nova won.
Nova. But did we talk about the round 1 upset of Purdue?
Oh yeah,
North Texas.
Especially, of course, it had to happen after I went on like a 5-minute on this podcast. Went on being like, Purdue's going to be able to make a run. They're going to have home crowds by North Texas too. It was like,
North Texas, and then not only that, but then my dad has had a horrible run lately on his picks for the games. He was like, oh, North Texas, they look like a really good team, a well-coached team. They go on to get shellacked by like 23 again to Villanova.
Yeah. Villanova, of course.
Right. They get to play a 13 seed in the round of 32 to move on to the Sweet 16. Because they had Winthrop, and Winthrop scared the crap out of me because I had them in one of my picks as well, but I didn't need them to lose. I could have them lose by, I think, 11, and they lost by 10.
Nova's playing Baylor in the Sweet 16.
Thank God for that. I don't want to hear any more about whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, that was. Well, I didn't trust him because I don't have Colin Gillespie, anyways.
Yeah.
But this was a very weird season for Nova because this is not a typical Jay Wright team. Like from 2015 to 2000, like last year, 2020, 2019. Like Virginia could have probably won all 5 national titles, but they just didn't. They only won 2. So
yeah.
What else do we have?
We were talking
VCU Creighton was weird. That sucks.
I mean VCU Oregon.
VCU Oregon. That sucks for VCU. I don't know. I was there no fill-in? Like, how did they not know this earlier? Why did it just come down to a point where there was no contest? Like, did they test the guy in the morning and then in the afternoon he tested positive? Like,
they had a number of tests come in, is what it was, I think. And if you were, because it wasn't only a number of tests just randomly came in. They had a number of tests over a couple of days come in. So now you're extending that window to a couple of days that you could have found a replacement team. And I think what it really comes down to, honestly and truly, is that all of the teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament, like Louisville, St. Louis, all those teams went Duke. Not Duke, because I don't know if they're in it or not, but they all went and played in the NIT because they're not going to sit around waiting to take up some spot that wasn't even theirs and the committee didn't even want. They went and played in the NIT.
Yeah,
so
I think, honestly, the committee should have picked the 32 teams, be like, okay, on Tuesday at 3:00, you need to have all your players tested, cleared to play if you have made the tournament. And if not, we will pick a replacement. Like, I don't know.
Selection Sunday should have been selection week is really what it should have been because you need a week to make sure everything's settled.
It should have been like that, or they should have just come out right away and been like, if you, for whatever reason, you can't play, it's just a forfeit. The other team looks lucky. And I will say, I think not having to play a first-round game really helped Oregon. They looked a lot more energized, a lot more energy than Iowa had. Yeah,
and that's really what it was. And because like Iowa still had to go out and play that game, and I'm looking back, I'm trying to find Iowa again. They played Grand Canyon. They won by 12. So like they still ran them to the wire, and I don't know. I put down money on Iowa to win. I think it was just straight money line, thinking that Oregon was going to be out of funk or not in their right mindset because of not having the first game. But it turned out to be the complete opposite, that they were so energized and ready, and Iowa was drained that it just didn't percolate. It didn't come together.
Absolutely. It absolutely looked like it made a difference. Absolutely.
I knew it was. I went the wrong way on it, and I'm kind of pissed, but oh well.
Yeah. So first round recap, really, the Pac-12 5-0, Big Ten 6-2. Do we miss any other first round news before we head to yesterday's games?
Were the Big Ten 10-2?
6-2.
6-2? Because I know Purdue lost. Ohio State lost.
Illinois
lost in the round of 32.
Yeah, so it was just Illinois. It
Okay.
was just Ohio State and those two, and then yeah. But Illinois is
Okay.
obviously out that way. Okay, so yesterday's games, and obviously come to first. Down goes Illinois. I was shocked by this. I was
I sat and watched
legitimately.
the entire game. Oh my
The
god.
only thing that I would not have been more like the only thing that could have surprised me more if it's like Gonzaga would have lost in the first or second round. Um, I thought Illinois was playing as the right now they were playing as the best team in the country. Io Dasamuni was a beast. Kofi Cockburn in the post. I mean, what he did to Luka. If you ever want to see why Luka Garza shouldn't be drafted, look at the Big Ten tournament game.
Yep.
Yeah, versus Iowa versus no. I mean, Kofi Cockburn made Luka Garza look like a child. But they lost to Loyola Chicago.
And their 40-year-old center or whatever, that dude looks like he's like a cop in Chicago.
Like, I just don't really know what to say about. Like, I was very, very like I didn't watch it, but I turned it on, checked the score, and then later in the second half, I checked score, and they were losing by like 10. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
So I sat down and watched it, and what it really came down to was the defense of Illinois. In my opinion, I could be completely wrong, and people can have their own opinions on everything. But in my opinion, it came down to the defense, because if like Loyola Chicago had a really nice defensive scheme for what Illinois was going to run. They had an idea that they were going to try and get it to Coburn or Kofburn, whatever his name is, Kofi, and they completely took out the point guard. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but
just call him
Io. They completely neutralized Io. He had like I think 5 points or something like that. Like he literally was not a factor, and Kofi was completely taken out on defense. And that's all fine if you're playing as good a defense. Illinois' defense had no idea what to do with that Kurtwig, because Kurtwig was putting him on skates when he was driving him down to the post. He was hitting him with like the little fades and then went back the other way. They had no idea what he was doing. And the system that Loyola Chicago ran had Kurtwig basically playing as a point center. And that's what the announcers were not like talking about him as. He's a point center. So he's playing up at the top of the 3-point line. And he's only taken 1 3 in his entire career, they had said. So he's not shooting it. So he's standing there at the top of the key, and Kofi just keeps sitting back and letting him like basically do what he's going to do. But all that does is leave him the Kurtwig passing lanes for the guys that are cutting, and he's hitting the passes 100% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could not believe it when I saw it. That was way more shocking to me that they lost in the second round than Ohio State losing in the first round. So yeah, that was. I thought they were playing the form and like how they were playing. I thought they were the best team in America right now. I thought them and Gonzaga were neck and neck, because I think Baylor, after they got back from COVID, I think they're a different team. I still think that at this point, after getting through Wisconsin now, I think that I don't know if they have an easy path, but I believe in them more. I think if Baylor was going to lose before the Final Four, it's either going to happen in the Sweet 16 or it'll happen in the championship or the Final Four.
Right.
I'm
trying to pull up.
I thought they'd lose this, or I thought they'd lose in the first or second round.
So Kofi led the team in points with 21 and also had 9 rebounds, no assists. Cameron Kurtwig led the team in points, rebounds, and assists. He had 19, 12, and 5.
Yeah, that's a better stat line. That's a better stat line than Jason Preston, but it's the same kind of thing. If you even more to extrapolate on our blueprint for winning, you just need to have a guy that that can do everything. A guy that can set everything up, like the Kurtwig guy or the Preston. He just stands? And I mean, it was hard to watch OU versus Virginia, because it was literally like Virginia would take 30 seconds, shoot and miss, and then Ohio would take 30 seconds and then like make a free throw or score or turn it over. Like, it was horrible to watch. But I mean,
So up and down, up and down.
the way that they were able, OU was able to get on top. I mean, I think it's almost impossible for a team like Virginia to come back from that.
Yeah,
like,
well, and especially after they had the same thing happen when they were a number 1 overall seed.
Yeah. So like I said, going back to it doesn't surprise me. But after Illinois, and the greatest thing about Loyola Chicago winning is everyone talks about Ken Pom. I always talk about Ken Pom because it is the easiest thing ever to use when you're making an argument or something for a team. You're just like, oh, well, they're top 10 in Ken Pom. He knows everything. So we're going to be able to keep using Ken Pom because Loyola was in the top 10 in Ken Pom all year long. Did you just drink piss?
No, I had gotten like a starter pack on this new energy thing, and I'm down to the last 2 flavors because I drank all of the ones I knew were going to be good. So now I'm trying one that's called Blizzard, and it's not very good. Yeah. It was either Blizzard or Purple Storm, which I'm assuming is a grape
Always.
flavor.
You gotta go. Well, yeah, Blizzard's probably like a light blue flavor.
The packaging and the color of the powder is white. So I was intrigued by what it was because the last one I had sucked. That one literally tasted like piss. So I was hoping this would be a little bit better, but my goodness.
You need to show everyone what you're testing so that when the company sees this, they'll start sponsoring us, even though we don't know. Even though they won't sponsor us now because you said 2 of their 3 things taste like shit. So,
I mean, I love everything else, but this is just not my favorite flavor. It's a tad sour.
Gotcha. I'm also willing to go ahead and say that I'm kind of starting to believe in this whole Sister Jean thing.
Yo, did you? I don't know if you saw, but she gave like a prayer. I got to figure out which way I'm turning. She gave like a prayer before the game, and I got to pull it up. She literally had like the entire stat line of what Illinois was going to do, and the stat line of what they'd done all season. Where they're like, she literally mentioned in there that like they hit 50% of their free throws and 30% of their threes, and that's exactly what happened. It was crazy. I gotta find it.
Yeah, like I'm starting to believe. So shoot, I mean, whatever, Loyola Chicago. But I will say, I'm sick of these underdogs and these lower seeds, these upset teams, like making it to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16, and never make it to the Final Four. Guys, it's time to step up. We need two at least 7 to 15 seeds in the Final Four, and I'll be happy. Also, breaking news, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are working on a contract restructure. Great.
Lovely. I think his time is coming to a close, but whatever. Basketball. I pulled up Sister Jean's exact quote from her thing. She says, "As we play the Fighting Illini, we ask for special help to overcome this team and a great win. We hope to score early and make our opponents nervous. We have a great opportunity to convert at rebounds as this team makes about 50% of the layups and 30% of its three-pointers. Our defense can take care of that." And then went on with the rest of her prayer with the team. What a burn by Sister Jean.
I would say it's a burn. It's just like I kind of want to go touch her and be like, maybe I'll live an extra 5 years. I don't know. She's like did you know she's over 100 years old?
She's 101.
It's insane. I can't even imagine how she got to the game. Like, she probably had to fly in like an incubated air pod because she would just get COVID wherever she goes.
I mean, it's only in Chicago, so she probably drove with someone, and it's only about a 4-hour ride, maybe 5.
She's 101.
Yeah, but she's not driving. She's just riding.
Yeah, I'm saying she probably took a private flight that the school paid for, but she was inside the private flight in her own bubble.
Probably.
Okay, you didn't go with that the way I wanted you to. I hate you. Next. This was a little disappointing too. I love Huggy Bear, but it turns out Jim Boeheim can win games as well as he can kill people on the road. So,
I mean, I was happy with it because it helped me make some money. And I'm not a huge Syracuse fan, but like I am from relatively the area because Rutgers. We could talk about Rutgers in a minute, but I'm not aligned to Rutgers, so I've kind of diverted to New York stuff. So like I liked Melo at Syracuse. Like I hate Boeheim. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like him that much, but he is a good coach, and I mean, my goodness, that was a very impressive game. Watch that start to finish too.
Yeah, I mean, his kid was on fire.
Oh my God, he was.
And also, it's totally not fair for the coach's kid to be like 6'7" and the best shooter. It's just not fair.
It's got to be one or the other. He's got to be tall or he's got to shoot.
Yeah, I saw a couple Syracuse games in the regular season, and you could tell that when he's off, he's just like, I don't care. I'm going to keep shooting it. My dad isn't going to bench me. So, I mean, and it's worked out for the first two games, but when they have to play maybe this week in Sweet 16, maybe he'll be 0 for 5 from 3, and it'll be a little different.
Yeah, well, I know that like they were saying they don't talk after the games. They don't like go over the games or analyze it or whatever. Boeheim talks to the team and then is like, okay, cool. See everyone later, and doesn't even like talk to his son on the car ride home. Like it's a little weird, but like whatever works, man. You do you.
Yeah, apparently. Arkansas through to the Sweet 16. I'm all in on the must bus. So some of those last shots that got missed by Texas Tech.
You can't miss those. I mean,
I can't think of it too. On the first day, somebody I think it was UC Santa Barbara. They were playing whoever.
Creighton.
Yeah, and then their
and
guy
the 1 point win, yeah.
Yeah, and their guy had a layup that bounced in and out. Like
you got to hit that. I mean,
the worst. Which brings me up. We do have to finish in like 20 minutes because Seth and Sean are on at 5:30 or 5. So, but crap. What were we talking about?
Creighton, UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, like that's
you can't miss shots like that.
Yeah, you can't. But that's what I was getting to. The worst ever was when 2019 when Duke almost lost to Central Florida, I think, with Taco Fall. The Central Florida's coach is a former Duke player, and his kid was the best player. And he went up for the layup to beat Duke at the end, and it just bounced out. And then the guy had a tip in to put it in, and it just bounced out again. Like, oh God, I wanted Duke to lose so bad, but they didn't. They eventually lost, but no. I mean, you got to hit those shots. I mean, obviously, and that sucks for those guys because they'll remember that literally for the rest of their life. Like, and this is not thing against Gordon Hayward. I'm sure he's a great dude, and but it's nothing against Butler either. But the one shot, Grayson or what's his name?
Gordon Hayward
will always remember.
He missed by 3 inches.
Yeah, is that he missed the chance to win the national championship. Like that's the one shot he will remember for the rest of his life, and he'll actually probably remember. The second shot is the one he shot, the fadeaway that looked like it was going in. That was the straightest. I remember watching that game. That was the straightest up and down. Like I was like, I don't think it's even going to touch the net. It looks so good, and then hit off the back rim. I was like, God damn it. Yeah. And, guys, why did you guys have to lose to Duke too? Anyone else? God. All right. So Arkansas is through. Like I said, I really like them. No one's going to be able to out athlete them. So I think they're looking good for at least the Elite Eight. And then Baylor breezed by Wisconsin. We talked about Houston won by 2 over Rutgers. 3 over Rutgers.
Rutgers led that entire game up until the final minute. Rutgers is, I got to say, like, and I said, I don't really have connections to my state school here because, like, they've never been good at anything, especially football. And they were in the Big Ten, which makes it so much harder to be good at football. But I have to say Rutgers' program looks really good, and I hope that they can retain a bunch of people and put together a season like this next year.
Honestly, and this also obviously kind of works for the Jets and Giants as well. But there's absolutely no reason Rutgers shouldn't be good. Yeah. Like, they're in the mecca of basketball, like the Northeast.
Yep.
If you think about it, in the Northeast, other than like UConn and I guess Syracuse, in the Northeast, I mean, they're the biggest state school. So, yep. I mean, it does suck they play in the Big Ten. I think they would fare much better if they moved to the Big East in basketball and then to the the AAC in football. I think they'd fare a lot better. But yeah, I was happy with Rutgers. I actually ordered a Rutgers hat. I'll wear it next show. So
I like it. I like it.
I'm also all in on Houston though, because I did watch the end of that game, and that was the one thing I thought might trip Will, and it could still end up tripping up Houston, is them being down for like long periods of time. Because I mean, basically Houston's schedule this year has consisted of they either beat the living hell out of you, or
it goes down to the last like 30 seconds.
And they lost usually. Yeah. I mean, they lost at Tulsa. Like, they're bad losses. So it gives me it sucks they only won by 3, but this also gives me a little hope that they finally are figuring out how to win.
I am just very worried for Houston because their best player he played through that hip injury. And I want to make it very clear. All of the credit in the world to that guy. That guy powered through. That was such they classified it as a Willis Reed performance. I don't know if I go that far, but like all the credit in the world to that guy. I'm forgetting his name. Do you know who I'm talking about? Number 3
for who?
Houston. He played through like a hip pointer or a something or other. He was playing hurt. He had an ice pack on that they taped to his like thigh or something.
Giroux.
Yeah. Giroux, all the credit in the world to that guy. I don't think he can play through another one of those. Like, he's got to get healthy, or like they're gonna get done really quick, because Syracuse is a very, very solid team, like we saw when they beat West Virginia. And I know that was a 3-point game as well, but they can shoot the 3. And Houston did not look the same whatsoever with Giroux out. So he's either got to get healthy, or I think Houston's in trouble.
Giroux's their 3rd leading scorer. He averages about 11. Yeah, but I mean, and he is the point guard. So, or it looks like he's the point guard. He has the most assists on the team. So,
he's the glue that kind of holds everyone together. And when he first went out with that injury, and he wasn't even on the bench, just talking to guys, you could see they were nowhere near the same team.
Yeah, and
he's the leader.
I will brag about myself for 1 minute. Sure. Especially college basketball, how this works is, like, the biggest compliment I ever got when I played basketball was that, like, I mean, I was pretty good, but I had really good players around me. It was that I was just really smart, and I was that glue guy that held us together. I mean, I played 32 minutes every single game.
Right.
And, like, the best compliment you can ever give is, like, if you take that guy away from that team, like they would say, if you take Brownlow off that team, then it's a completely different team. And that's absolutely true for a lot of college point guards.
A lot of college teams in general.
And it's very different once you get to the NBA, but like college teams, I mean, you need to have I would say it used to be the big guy is like the biggest thing, and now I think it's even probably more shooter is what you need even more than anything. But having a point guard that knows all the plays and everything, and not just the plays, but where everyone is supposed to be on those plays is, I mean, the ability to have like a coach on the floor with you is vastly underrated in college basketball. And I mean, that's why I always fell in love with North Carolina point guards. I mean, they usually were good 3-point shooters, could shoot as well too, but they were all, I mean, I remember guys like Raymond Felton.
I love Raymond
Ty,
Felton.
Ty Lawson.
Ty Lawson.
Ty Lawson. Like I said, Joel Berry recently, Marcus Page recently, and then Kobe White recently. I think Kobe White was probably the best of them. I love Kobe White. So it'll just be interesting. But yeah. All right. And then I do have the. I'm going to go through. We're going to do this. Then we're going to give our picks real quick, and then we'll do trivia and get out the door. Oregon State or Oral Roberts? Who's more for real?
I have been harping about Oregon State since the tournament had started. I am a very big fan. I was calling them to beat Tennessee. I called them to beat Oklahoma State in a bunch of my brackets. Even though I was a huge Oklahoma State fan, I know I talked about that on the show. And I said it was really unfortunate that Oregon State had to draw them, but I've been harping about Oregon State now for a little bit, so I'm going to stick with my roots here. I think Oregon State's a little more legit.
Oregon State, yeah. I mean, and it's just showing the power of the Pac-12, and it's also showing you. Like, I haven't watched either of the Oregon State games, but obviously I will. But that shows you how a team can propel off of a conference tournament win.
Yep.
Rather than some other teams you don't really see propel like that.
Like Georgetown.
Yes. Well, and I didn't say this, but I kind of thought Georgetown, it was weird. After they won the tournament, it was almost like they were just happy to be there. Almost.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree.
I think Oral Roberts and Oregon State both have a great chance to make it to the next round.
I agree, and
all right.
I'm going to be rooting for Oregon State. I'm not going to lie; they're my sweetheart team this year.
Gotcha. All right, so we're going to run through today's games quickly, just so everyone knows. There's about 3.5 minutes left, and there's 2 minutes left in the Gonzaga Oklahoma game, and Gonzaga is up 79-70. Oh my God, I hit my first bet of the day. Oh God, yes. I didn't know if I bet the over or not. I thought I did, and I did. So I guess that would be our first game. We already kind of talked about it, but I had Oregon money line and the over of 149, and that easily hit.
Yep.
So that's the first one. The next one, which is going on right now, doesn't look too good for me. Gonzaga versus Oklahoma. Like I said, they're up by 9 right now with about 2 minutes left. I took them minus 14.5 because I honestly think they're the only team left in the tournament that is capable of beating another team left in the tournament by more than 10 points.
Right. I move on. I'll pull mine up real quick. I forgot what I had. I have a big one tonight that'll hit for another big chunk of change.
All right, and then after that, we have at 5:15, we have Abilene Christian versus UCLA, the great 14-11 matchup in the round of 32, which means a double-digit seed will be going to the Sweet 16, which is always awesome. I believe the line was 5.5. What did I get it at? I took Abilene Christian money line.
Right.
So what do you?
I have my parlay up. This is to win $300. It's another free bet. Don't do this unless you're doing it for a very small amount of money. I have UCLA minus 6.5 or 6 points. Ohio money line because I needed something to boost the odds. Yeah. Oregon State, Florida State minus 4 and Kansas minus 2.5. So if I can get those, I'll get another $300.
You got Kansas minus 2.5.
Yeah, I needed something again. Again. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying I got it at a pick'em.
Oh no, I could have done money line, but I needed the boost on the odds.
No, the odd. When I wrote this outline, it was the newest odds, and it was down to a pick'em. Like so, have you ever seen this in gambling where?
Yeah.
You don't have there's no spread. You just pick the winner. So
it was 1.5 both ways. And I wasn't getting any odds for money line. They were both minus 110. So I put Kansas up for minus 2.5 because I needed some extra odds to break that 300 mark.
Okay, so what do you got in the Abilene Christian? What did you say? UCLA minus 6. You said
minus 6. Yes.
Okay, like I said, I'm on the Abilene Christian money line. Next up on our list is Ohio 13 seed versus Creighton.
I took Ohio money line.
I also took the Ohio money line, which is smart because for people who don't gamble a lot. If your team is favored, or if it's basketball, especially, and it's more than or less than a 4 or 5 point spread, it's better odds to just choose the pick 'em, in my opinion. But like I said, so
Agreed.
number 13, Ohio versus 5, Creighton. I think Creighton's struggling. I took Ohio money line, and I parlayed that with the prop of Jason Preston over 14.5 points, which is
looking good.
more points than he scored last time. I mean, he only scored 11. But like I said, as the tournament goes on, if Ohio wants to continue to win, he's going to have to make himself more of an attack threat, in my opinion. Okay. And then I have number 8 LSU versus number 1 Michigan. I believe Livers is out for the entire tournament, correct?
I believe so. I don't know. I stayed away from this game because I didn't know enough about LSU.
I'm looking if he's still hurt. Okay, I get it. I don't care. I don't know. I don't think he is. The only thing that came up in the news is, and we'll talk about this at the very end, the new "We Are Not NCAA Property" things. Right. Athletes wearing shirts. I like the idea of it. I mean, I agree they should be paid, but I don't have to see T-shirts about it. Like,
yep, I agree 100%.
And I'm almost coming to the point now. Like, I think college athletes should be able to benefit from the likeness. I don't really think they should get paid. I think they should be able to benefit for their likeness, and I don't think they should get paid because it would cause way too many problems, just everywhere.
100% agree.
And honestly, as a guy who doesn't have a college education and still is paying student loans, the free school thing is a real deal. And on top of that, if you're playing a sport, it's better than a fraternity, basically, because you are going to be able to network with so many people. So, like I said, I think it's overshadowed how great of a thing.
Great of a deal they get. Plus, they already sort of get, at least that I don't want to say my school, I don't know, but I know that I've heard a couple of schools offer living stipends as well.
So most schools offer living stipends. Like, so, especially for the older players, like if they live off campus, like they get so much a month for housing and so much for a month. Like, so, because I was in the Army when I was eventually went back to school at Kent, they paid for half of it. And and then what do I have next? Oh yeah, LSU versus Michigan. I took LSU +5. I didn't do the money line here, which is going against everything I said. But I think Michigan is the better team. But I think I also think that LSU is athletic enough to stay with them the entire game, especially if Livers isn't playing, which I don't think he is.
Yeah, I didn't know enough about LSU to be confident betting in that one, so I stayed away and I picked almost the rest of the game. So
cool. And then the next one, Colorado versus Florida State. I think this will be a good game. Really, to me, it comes down to which Florida State's going to show up. The long, athletic guys that actually make their threes and make their free throws, or the long, athletic guys that turn the ball over a lot. But either way, like I said, at this point, I have lost a lot of bets already. So I am taking whatever has pretty good odds at this point. So I am on the Colorado money line. The way they handle, like I said, Georgetown was not the real deal. We get that. It was still impressive to beat another
D1 program by
Power 5 opponent. Yeah, a Power 5 opponent in the first round. So, like I said, I took Colorado money line. Anything on that?
I have Florida State -4 because I needed a bit of a boost on the odds again to get my money up for my payout. But I think that they can.
Those were plus odds.
Yeah. So the line when I put in the pick was like 3 or something like that. So I put Florida State or you know what? I think actually the line was bigger. And because I took away some of that point cushion, it gave me more odds. I don't know what it was exactly.
Gotcha.
But it did boost it slightly.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not a bad pick. Like I said, I'm just trying to regain some losses at this point.
Go for it, man. Go big or go home. That's what I did, and look where I'm at.
Two more, and then we'll do a real quick preview of the Sweet 16, and we'll be out. Maryland versus Alabama. I once again went against everything I say, and I took Alabama -5.5. Because once again, this is and I will always say this when we talk about gambling. My methods don't make sense. I'm fully aware of that. It's just a feel. It's a feel thing, and
it's a gut feeling, bro.
I feel Alabama -5.5. I couldn't take a money line because the odds were too good, and I think there's a good chance they beat them pretty good. So.
Nothing wrong with that. I didn't put anything on this game, again, because I didn't know enough about Maryland or Alabama to feel comfortable putting money down on it and risk messing up the rest of the parlay. So I stayed away from it. But I like picking upsets, so I probably would have done something with Maryland.
All right. And then the last one tonight, number 6 seed USC versus number 3 Kansas. You said you had Kansas -2.5?
2.5.
This was a pick 'em for me, so obviously, like I explained, basically instead of taking the money line, it's just you pick whoever wins. I picked USC A because they were better odds, and B is because I don't really think Kansas, even though that they are Kansas, has anyone that can guard Evan Mobley.
That was my only concern.
He's actually he's an above average passer out of the post, which is going to benefit him greatly at the next level, but also helps him at the college level.
I'm just hoping that the guards can kind of put up points for Kansas. I don't have their names up right now, but I did watch some of the game, and they shoot the three pretty well, so I'm hoping that kind of propels them forward.
Kansas is one of those schools, it doesn't matter if you can't think of their names. Just this way, this is a Kansas guard, and then I'll explain to you a Kansas big. Kansas big. 6'10" or above, very physical, very defensive, block shots, is raw on the offensive end. Kansas guards, all of them are point guards.
All of them are point guards and somehow can shoot a little bit.
Yes. And then they always have a European guy that shoots threes.
Agreed.
Always.
There's their 5. There's their starting 5 right there.
Exactly. Some Sweet 16 preview. Like I said, it doesn't start till Saturday or Friday, maybe.
Saturday, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, Saturday and Sunday, then that makes sense. So we'll obviously preview it next week, but obviously some Sweet 16 games we already have lined up are Oregon State versus Loyola Chicago, which I think is going to be a great game, and we'll obviously go over that a lot because we both had a lot to say about Oregon State and Loyola. Number 1 seed Baylor versus Villanova. Like I said, I think this is where Villanova really gets exposed without Gillespie. Oral Roberts versus Arkansas. Great draw for the Muss Bus, and I think Oral Roberts sticks with them through the first half, but pulls away at the end. Syracuse, Houston. I got nothing on that one. It's almost unfair that Syracuse just comes in with like the zone. It's like the triple option in college football almost. It's like so like when you're playing them in the season, like you understand, but when it's a postseason game, and say you had to play like Wisconsin last week, I don't know why, and it's just straight man-to-man physical things. And now you come in to here to play Syracuse, and you have to develop a whole new game plan because they have 6'2", 6'10" point guards,
shooters,
at the top of the 2-3 zone. So you can't pass it anywhere. So I probably won't bet that game. I do have Houston in my Final Four, so I would like to Houston win. I won't bet that game because I think Syracuse could easily win as well.
I think I already have my parlay ready for Saturday because all of my free bets expire on Friday, so I have to put in bets early. So I think I have Syracuse in that one. I don't know if it's money line or not. I'm trying to re-pull them up real quick because you have to log in every time. So yeah, I have Oral Roberts +7 in that Arkansas game. I have Oregon State.
I don't like that. Well, all that we've seen from unless Oral Roberts is for real, like we were talking about.
Both of the games that they've played, they've kept it close. So even if they lose, if it's a close game, I still win that, and I get great odds on the +7.
I disagree. I think what's happened with these upsets in recent years is
I know they're going to get blown out.
They upset teams that are available to be upset, but then they get to play a team that is just superior to them.
Let me believe, okay? Let me believe.
You can believe. You know what? Like I said, I have Arkansas. I want Arkansas to win the national championship. I bought an Arkansas headband the other day, so I want Arkansas to win the national championship.
Look, they're fine so long as they win by less than 7.
I wouldn't hate Oral Roberts making the elite.
So I got Oral Roberts +7.
Jeez.
Oregon State just a straight up win, and Syracuse just a straight up win. And if that hits, it's $300 in my pocket.
Nobody cares. Just nobody cares.
So my picks are Oregon State, Baylor, Arkansas, and Syracuse.
I got Loyola Chicago, Baylor, Arkansas, and Houston. So we're just different on the first and the fourth. All right. So that's going to do it for us today. I will ask you my 2 trivia questions because they're very easy because I came up with them by myself.
Sure.
Who is the only other 15 seed to make the Sweet 16?
Florida Gulf Coast.
Correct.
I had to make sure I got the name right.
And then who did Steph Curry and Davidson lose to in the Elite Eight in 2008?
Oh, dude, I don't remember.
I think UNC? I got this one.
UNC?
No, I'm pretty sure they lost to Kansas.
Oh, well, that makes sense because it's Kansas.
Yeah, they won by 2. Yeah, I remember that last play, actually. They won by 2. Curry's point guard at Davidson was actually like probably one of the best facilitators I've seen in college basketball in a long time. Like I think he averaged like 12 assists a game. But they doubled Curry and the guy was wide open for the 3 and he just missed it. Which brings me back to how did Ohio State miss that 3? That was a free throw.
Dude, that was wide open. He was wide open in the corner. Like they've been hitting that all day. And then guys like brick.
I mean,
gross.
Even for me at this point, like a wide open 3 from the top of the arc. Like personally, I like shooting from the top rather than the sides. I've never liked the sides.
That's fair.
But I probably make 50% of threes right now from the top of the key.
And I have to say the Rutgers guy right at the end of the game, he did the little Villanova kickback to the guy and he pulled it from the same exact spot. It was a really clean shot. He was playing for the foul. He flailed his legs and messed up his shot and he missed. Same exact thing. How do you miss that? I mean, it was a good look. Unfortunately. So do you want to hear my 2 questions real quick before we close out?
Yeah, you got 2 minutes.
Sure. When was the last time Gonzaga made it to the final?
2017 or 18, lost to North Carolina. It's stupid.
Correct.
I was in rehab.
Well, great.
It was great. I got to watch the whole game. It completely clean and nothing was wrong with me.
Look at you. Love that for you. And then the last time Indiana was ranked number 1 was when?
Was it 2010 or 11 when they beat 2010 or 11 or 12 or 13, one of those first couple of years. But was it the year that they beat Kentucky on that buzzer beater in Freedom Hall, in Assembly Hall?
So they were last ranked number 1 in 2012-2013 season. And they went to the NCAA tournament. They beat James Madison as a number 1. They beat Temple and then lost to Syracuse in the Sweet 16. And that's when they had Yogi Ferrell, Victor Oladipo, and Cody Zeller as their big three guys there.
I'm looking. Yeah, I don't think that was the year.
I think that was beforehand, maybe. That might have been in 2010 and 11, like you said, and this is 12, 13.
I keep typing in Kansas. That's why.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was in 2011. Christian Watford. Ah, dang it. I thought I would always remember that name. Okay, so like I said, Sheth and Sean will be coming on next. They'll be going live. Definitely hear them out. They're definitely a little quirky and weird, but I've actually listened to a couple, and a decent amount of their shows. They're really good, so I would recommend them for sure. But other than that, make sure you. Apparently, we're doing a whole. I'm not going to get into it. Apparently, we're doing a whole overhaul of Anchor. And I don't know what we're really doing, but until I get told otherwise or get blocked off from Anchor, our podcast will be going to Anchor. So they'll be out on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, wherever you get podcasts. So just click, download, subscribe. It's huge for us. I can't think of anything else. In the future, we will be having on, hopefully in the next week or two, Zach Meisel, the Indians beat reporter, to talk about the Indians. And then I will probably have some more news to share with everyone Wednesday or Thursday. So anything for you, Tom? I swear to God, if you win these bets and you come in like all happy, especially if I have a bad day today and you come in like all happy on Wednesday or Thursday, I may just sit in silence and let you do the podcast by yourself.
Look, man, I was just out here trying to clean up what I lost on the tables, bro. I had a really crap weekend on the tables.
That's why it's because tables are luck. Think with your mind. Think with your mind. That's the only rationale I have behind sports gambling, and it's so wrong. All right, so that's it for me. Tom, you got anything?
No, I think that's it.
FCS news. I check out my interview with Craig Haley. It's really good. He's the not you, I was telling the fans, but you want to as well. He is the stats perform. Basically, it's like the Division I does the AP poll and the coaches poll. FCS does the FC. The stats perform. It's a group. And he's the senior editor for it. I sat down with him. We talked about North Dakota, which happened over the weekend. North Dakota State dominated North Dakota and looks like they're back on track to win another national championship. We talked about that. We talked about Trey Lance's NFL future. He does not think that he's better than Carson Wentz coming out. So that's interesting.
That's what I want to hear, baby. That's what I want to hear.
Definitely check that out. He might come on in the future. I don't know. I'd love to have him on maybe around Frisco Bowl, something like that, around one of the last championship, but we do have to get off. It's 4:58. So that is it for me. Tom, anything, bud?
Go Dogs as usual, baby. Let's go.
You can't say that. You can't say that. They're not even playing.
You've asked me like 3 times now, and I can't just keep saying no. So
okay. Right,
Dogs. Close to winning our football game versus San Diego State, which would have been dope, but
yeah, I'm ending.